Alrighty, episode 2 of What If Naruto, or rather What If Team 7, was adopted by Kakashi. Now, we've already seen Sasuke befriend Naruto and Naruto actually be adopted. And now, a certain event that you all know so well will happen. The Uchiha massacre does roll around, and this time, it's gonna play out differently, obviously. Kakashi and Naruto are much closer to the Uchiha, especially Sasuke's family, and so it does not go the same way. So on the night that the Uchiha massacre does roll around, Sasuke is obviously coming home when he sees just blood on the street. This obviously shocks him, as any kid would be, but at this point Naruto wasn't too far off. Distance-wise, that is. And so when he heard Sasuke screaming for help, Naruto ran towards him. Both the boys fell to their knees at the same time. What happened? This is blood, Sasuke said. It's blood. Someone or something killed my people. As before anyone says anything else, Sasuke's eyes change. And yes, I know this isn't actually how it happened in canon. Technically, he unlocked his Sharingan when Itachi put a genjutsu on him, but I just feel like him seeing his friends and family dead would really make him unlock at least that first variation of the Sharingan, the one Tomoe. It just makes more sense in my opinion. Like, how could he not have, a Sharingan when he literally sees everyone he ever cared about right in front of him dead? I just feel like he would have the Sharingan here, so he's gonna have it. Only one Tomoe though. I'm not gonna make him too OP. Just yet, at least. It's at this point that, without even talking, Sasuke stood up and started walking, slowly but surely, through the streets of the Uchiha compound, with Naruto following closely, trying to get his attention and asking what he's doing. Shouldn't they call for help or something? But Sasuke's not listening. And that's when Naruto noticed he was going towards his house. Slowly but surely, he crossed the road, only to see his door was open. That was not a good sign. And with so much blood everywhere else, that could only mean one thing. But when they both entered, they didn't see what they saw before. They didn't just see lifeless bodies. They saw a man on his knees, falling face downwards right in front of him. It was Sasuke's father, with a sword in his back. On top of him stood Itachi Uchiha, Sasuke's brother. Itachi, what happened? Naruto asked. I'm sorry, boys. You weren't supposed to see this. I hope both of you have a good life. As without the two boys noticing, a tear went down Itachi's face, and before they knew it, they were put into a genjutsu and woke up in a hospital, with Itachi being gone. When they woke up, they saw Hiruzen, the third Hokage, standing in the middle of both of their beds. In the hospital, that is. With Kakashi right behind him, sitting against the wall, looking like he hadn't gotten any sleep in at least a couple of days. Oh my goodness, I'm so glad you two woke up, Hiruzen muttered. I'm sorry, Sasuke Uchiha, but I have to report, the Uchiha clan is no more, and Itachi is now considered a fugitive. I'm sorry. So it wasn't just a dream. That really happened? Oh no, Naruto said. He stopped himself. Sasuke was staring out the window, looking at the just now rising sun. How long was I out for? He asked. 2.5 days. It was looking really rough. You were sweating non-stop and shivering, but thank goodness you woke up. 2.5 days. Where are you, Itachi? I'm gonna find you and kill you. As Sasuke's Sharingan, that had just been unlocked, was now flared up again. Revenge is not the only option, my dear, Hiruzen said. He's right, you know, Kakashi muttered. I tried that and it never works. I don't need to listen to you. I'll find him and kill him. End of story. Alright, well, you two then get to it, I guess. But for now, you need a heal. So, please, just stay in bed for a few more days. I don't want any trouble. This is already enough. In my old age, I am glad I even survived this far. If you now make trouble, then I don't know. Don't say that, Lord Hokage, Kakashi said. He's right, Naruto yelled. And then a few days passed. Now they were finally going back to the academy, and obviously they had stories to tell. But Sasuke was different than his usual self. He was much more enclosed. He didn't talk as much to people. He didn't go out playing after school. He didn't just have fun at the academy. He was there to learn and become more powerful. After school, after the academy, whatever, he trained. He trained his fireball jutsus. He tried to train his Sharingan, which after that he went to Kakashi for that, since he knew he had a Sharingan. And just did everything to even try to get himself in better physical shape, taking a note out of Rock Lee's book. So really focusing on training. Naruto wasn't like that. He still had fun at school, at the academy, whatever, went out playing afterwards, made jokes, but obviously he wasn't going to be the same as before. I mean, this was traumatic. It would change him forever. He had just seen his best friend's family and friends, as well as only friends, die. And he saw their bodies and blood all over. And it was one of his most trusted friends that did it, Sasuke's brother, Itachi. He was never going to be the same. But he most definitely wasn't like Sasuke. And so, as their lives continued, they split further and further. Sure, they still were friends, but they saw each other less and less. It went from spending every waking hour together to seeing each other once per day, to then once per 2 days, 3, twice a week, once a week, and then only in school. And even that slowly stopped, as Sasuke had a lot of missing school days. But I mean, his grades were still great. He was physically the best at school, and he was quite smart as well, so he was not going to fail or anything just because he had missing days. But yeah, there would be times where Sasuke would not be seen by anyone for days on end. Even Naruto, his only friend. And then, what seemed like a blink of an eye, 4 years happened. And so, their getting exams would arrive, with their academy life finally being behind them. It had been a weird time for both of them, and now they would move on to be actual shinobi. Obviously, the test would be really easy. I mean, they're both incredible. Naruto was a little bit trained by Kakashi. Obviously, he's extremely good in everything that a shinobi can be. Naruto did also get the dog summoning from Kakashi. He learned how to do a clone, even though he is obviously very limited with his jutsu due to, well, Kurama. But with enough practice, Kakashi was able to awaken some sort of chakra control, as now Naruto is able to do one clone and some transformations, and has even learned how to tree walk. But that's about it for now. Now, obviously Naruto passes, so the one that Mitsuki would, well, try to manipulate is Kiba. And yes, that's still gonna happen, because Kiba is just, Kiba. I don't know, I don't really know what to think of Kiba, like in canon. Actually, never mind, I'm not gonna get into that. Whatever. So, Mitsuki chooses Kiba as his target, and so Kiba somehow manages to steal the scroll. I actually don't really understand how Naruto was able to steal the scroll. Sorry, I'm getting way too deep into this. He steals the scroll, but Naruto finds him. Naruto often likes to go to the forest at night, especially since it just reminds him of his past. Playing with Sasuke, with the other kids in the Uchiha compound, just having a great time. But now there was Kiba here, who was definitely not being quiet. Kiba is always loud as hell, and so he wasn't hard to miss. Then obviously, whilst he was inspecting the scroll, Mitsuki came and demanded it. But unlike Naruto in canon, Kiba complied and gave it to him. But before he could actually hand it over, Naruto swooped by and stole the scroll, with him having already sent a dog out to Kakashi to notify him of what's happening. And so he just had to hold off Mitsuki, which wasn't too hard. His taijutsu was actually pretty good, as he didn't really need any chakra control for that, and so Nanin Kurama could, well, destroy that. So he was obviously not nowhere near Rock Lee's level, but he was pretty good in taijutsu. In pure taijutsu, he was actually the best out of the class, even better than Sasuke himself, as Sasuke focused a lot on his jutsus and his Sharingan. And yes, Kakashi did still train him, even when he turned a little darker. And so, even though he didn't actually mean to, Mitsuki was dealt with and knocked out completely. And since Naruto still had the scroll, he took a slight glance at it, and the first thing he noticed was the multi-shadow clone jutsu. He had heard of it before. It was said to be a jutsu like the clone jutsu, but it would make a physical body that could tank one hit, which might not sound like a lot, but it is actually really insane. And can, actually do punches. And once you master it, you're apparently able to make hundreds and hundreds of clones. But there have only been a few people in recorded history that have been able to do that. And so it was unlikely that Naruto could do it. But he still wanted to try a single clone, as that was what he could do with a normal clone, so maybe shadow clones would be the same. But obviously one shadow clone is better than a normal clone. And so he did it, and it worked somehow. And it was weird. Naruto tried punching the clone, and sure, it dissolved. But then there was a weird memory of himself being hit by a blonde kid. And then he figured out that was himself. But how could he hit himself? It was almost like he had the clone's memories. As in the coming days, Naruto would train and test out this ability. Obviously, Mitsuki was put in prison, and Kiba actually did pass because of his bravery and somehow being able to steal the scroll. Even though it wasn't an actual test, they actually allowed it because it was still quite impressive. Definitely above an average academy student's level. But that was mostly due to Kiba's speed. So he really didn't deserve it, but he is still going to become a Genin. It's also easier for the time. But now Naruto was testing out this ability with the Shadow Clone. Now he was actually able to make up to 3 Shadow Clones, which wasn't bad. And he tried testing it out. Perhaps this could be used for recon missions. Without himself or his teammates being hurt, he would just send a clone to spy on the enemy, or perhaps even infiltrate the ranks. And once he gets found out, he would just poof out of existence, with that knowledge being taken to Naruto. It would be great, but he would actually have to train it to be sure of how it works, and also be able to master it for longer distances. As for some reason at the beginning, it kind of stopped working when Naruto and the clone moved a little farther away from each other than like 100 meters. I know that's not actually how it works in canon, but I'm just gonna say it does. So Naruto trained it, and at some point told Kakashi about this. He was really scared at first, since he wasn't supposed to know any jutsu of the secret scroll. But he mustered up the courage, and so Kakashi at this point knew. Kakashi was a little scared. He did know about the risks of the Shadow Clone Jutsu, but he was also impressed. Doing 3 Shadow Clone Jutsus was really impressive. And finding out about the secret of the information gathering, that's my Naruto. He thought, I guess I raised him right. Huh, Minato? As he looked up the sky, a little proud of his son, Naruto. And so, Naruto, completely coincidentally, totally not because Kakashi wanted to, suddenly Naruto, along with Sasuke and Sakura, are all 3 now Kakashi students. Obviously, Sasuke and Naruto both know Kakashi very well. Kakashi was kind of already a mentor to both of them, especially Sasuke, teaching him about the Sharingan, being the only one that even can. And now Naruto, just over the time, but now especially with the Shadow Clone, he just feels really proud of the two. They've grown immensely and actually take their training seriously, unlike a lot of kids. And he knows that they need to take it seriously because he himself experienced a lot of horrors even as a child. Though Sakura does not seem to share that seriousness, but perhaps she will after their first actual mission. But for now, it's just introductions, then the bell test, which goes pretty easily. Obviously, Naruto and Sasuke can work together. Sure, they had to talk first, a few sentences, just catching up, but then they were ready to go, fist bumped each other, and absolutely went ham. Sakura tried her best to help them with some shuriken, but it was mostly Naruto and Sasuke putting in work. Doing combos, Sasuke using his fire jutsu, Naruto his shadow clones to propel each other forward. And even though they hadn't trained together or sparred together, they were doing great. And their teamwork was phenomenal. Something that Kakashi had not seen in a long time. And so, obviously, they passed. Then they went on to D-rank missions. Now, this wasn't just really easy. And so, after only a month, they had completed about 50 D-rank missions, and were now ready to do a harder one. They were offered a C-rank mission, obviously, the Land of Waves. Now, this goes pretty normal, as in canon. They go on the adventure, they find the 2 demon brothers, Naruto and Sasuke take one out each, and then they move on. Kakashi wants to turn back, but obviously the team is ready to complete this mission, especially Naruto and Sasuke, who want a challenge. Especially when working together, nothing seems to be a challenge to them, and they want something hard, something that can motivate them. Obviously Sasuke has Itachi as his end goal, but they need something immediate, something in between. Especially Naruto, who kind of lacks motivation. Sure, he definitely wants to find Itachi and talk to him, but he's not really on the whole killing thing. As well as, he doesn't really want to become Hokage. Like, sure, it would definitely be cool, he would be more respected, and honestly, he would be looked up to. No one would just straight up ignore him or dislike him for no reason. But it's a little too much. Kakashi kind of rubbed off on him, and he doesn't really want all that fame. He wants to, well, work in secret, but still do good for the people, like Kakashi did in his Anbu days. He saved a lot of people in the Leaf, but also had to kill a lot of people from outside. And even though not that many people know him for that, they still know him for his good deeds as a Jonin, and just overall a good guy protecting the Leaf Village. That's what Naruto wants. but that will take a while. But he definitely does have to be strong for that, to be able to protect the village in the first place, and everyone living inside. But anyways, they kind of just finished the mission like in canon, just everything a little bit easier. Naruto and Sasuke work together to defeat Zabuza, or rather Haku first. It so happens that Haku takes away Zabuza in their first encounter, and then they come back when the bridge is almost done. Sasuke is still impaled and Naruto goes berserk. But this one is much worse. With him actually having some strength without Kurama, this is now kind of scary. It was already really powerful in canon, but now, with him knowing much more taijutsu and actual chakra control, even with Kurama blocking his chakra, he is a force to be reckoned with and absolutely crushes Haku to death. And then, without even stopping, goes on to Zabuza. He is a force to be reckoned with and absolutely crushes Haku to death. And then, without even stopping, goes on to Zabuza, jumping at him with a chokehold and jumping into the sea. The river, sorry. And then chokes him until he dies. Then meets up with the group and passes out. But at this point, Kakashi takes out the rest of Gato's men, as they're basically just henchmen that are maybe shooting level, but should be slight worth for Kakashi here. And so both Naruto and Sasuke are cared for, and then that's the end of this mission. It is still called the Naruto Bridge, the Great Naruto Bridge, sorry, as obviously he defeated Haku and Zabuza, and was a symbol of help and prosperity, as well as he did help a little bit with his shadow clones around, just holding some stuff, carrying stuff around, and was liked by everyone. And so that was their first mission, ranked as a B+. Almost A tier, but not completely. In difficulty wise, that is. But still, they did get paid quite nicely, and Kakashi definitely didn't complain. But not before Kakashi had to break the news about the shooting exams beginning soon. But that's going to be it for today's video. Hope you enjoyed. Make sure to like, subscribe, and we'll see you in the next one. Now, a little note. I know this one isn't crazy good, and I'm sorry to whoever wanted to see this do well. I maybe will do something similar to this in the future where I actually put in more effort and do better. But I will make better stuff in the near future. I have some really good stuff on the plan, on the calendar, coming soon. It's just, I'm just getting back from the summer and from my break. It's just be patient with me and you will be rewarded. Anyways, thank you and I'll see you in the next one. Peace.